Alex Answer here, August 12th, 2015. I'm just out of bed. About time to start the day and head back into Montrose, where I'll be getting online for a few hours. It was nice to find a free campsite on BLM land. It took me a while to find the spot, but I want to do a quick video update on my travel adventures and some of my observations within society. And I'm also trying to make it a point to start doing a lot of videos. Not just a few videos, but a lot of videos covering topics that have just been on my mind. I felt the need to release some perspectives and opinions that perhaps, I haven't talked about for some time. And one thing that I have mentioned in recent videos is the danger of becoming too comfortable, especially when you're a philosopher, especially when you're a commentator on current events, because when you get comfortable and you get soft, it's not that you stop caring, but you stop being so vocal at times about what you're seeing. And so I need to continue to add to the dialogue that I started. Societies are very similar wherever I go, whether it's rural or whether it's urban. Similar urban environments, similar rural environments. I guess in my travels, it's not so much about what is society like, although that's a part of it. Are there people that look like they're happy and enjoying themselves, or do people look terrified and afraid? Those things I pay attention to. Small intentional communities. Are people respectful, or do people flip out and have misunderstandings and, get involved with Facebook and bring the beast machine into it as well? There's different ways I look at a situation uniquely, and I go, is this a good situation or a good place for me? And I make my decision based on that. And, I include my intuition. What does it feel like inside? What is my gut feeling about this person or about this place? Where do I go from here? Well, first of all, let's talk about where I am. I'm in a place called Montrose, Colorado, which is in the western part of Colorado. And my options are, I guess, opening up, being on the western portion, the middle western portion of the state. Take a look at Google Maps, take a look at the links down below. And so I'm situated to go south to Arizona, maybe to the border, some sort of little town there. I think I'm going to stay away from Utah, but I'm not going to let programming, I guess, of some form stop me from considering anywhere in Utah, especially near the Colorado border. I mean, if I get my RV legal and I don't go over the border with any pot, I really shouldn't have a problem. I don't drive like a maniac. I don't get pulled over in the RV because they assume I'm probably some old person. I'm driving 45 miles an hour. My Lord, that's not a cop magnet. But if I'm in a regular car and I can be easily seen, then it is more than likely that I might get pulled over for something silly. Now, I did take a major financial hit. I will recover from it, but it deals with a very expensive traffic ticket in Trinidad, Colorado, because I was pulled over for a minor traffic infringement, but I was driving someone else's car, specifically the car of the person that I was staying with in Trinidad, Colorado. That person did not have insurance on their vehicle, but that person did tell me for a month they did have insurance, so I was lied to. And that also led to me leaving where I was. I was lied to by someone claiming to be a friend. And because I was lied to, and because there was really no registration in the car, I got a ticket for $650, and they tell people they will put out warrants for their arrest for traffic infringements or take their license at the very least. But they literally tell people they'll put out a warrant in the office that's involved in doing the collections. That's extortion. So basically, that's what happened in Trinidad. And from there, I went to the San Luis Valley, and I learned a few things about earthbagging and share them with you. It was more or less camping. There were some personality differences. There were some things that were said in private, one-on-one with the owner of said property. Instead of the issue being dealt with in a positive manner, animosity and resentment was created when the he said, she said scenario continued on. And then I knew immediately that was not the place for me. That was not the place for me to invest money. That was not the place for me to buy sandbags and have them delivered. That was not the place for me to buy a big bundle of wood. That was not the place for me. I was not really respected there. There's some places where they just want another off-the-grid body to help out with the work projects. And that's the truth. And some people aren't able to handle that truth that are involved in organizing said intentional communities. And I could say more, but I won't. But everything I said there is fair to say and truthful to say. And you got to be careful what you get involved with, who you get involved with. Because not all personalities blend well together. Because if they did, certain people would still be back out in the city. Anyways, they wouldn't be trying to go off the grid in the middle of one of the most isolated places in Colorado. So maybe it's nobody's fault. Because one thing that I reminded them and myself, as I saw it happen again, a little disappointing as I was talking about it. Some would say I created the reality. I understand. But the greatest disruptor out there, complication to living off the grid in the San Luis Valley, is infighting, neighbors that resent each other. And I think it's because people out there really want to have their own space, and the magnetics are a lot stronger there in a different way, to where if there is something going on between you and a neighbor or a roommate or someone else on the property, you're going to feel that a lot more. Other things I want to share about the San Luis Valley: it's a sacred healing space. That means we may need to be in our own space when we're out there. We may be able to be friends, we may be able to have occasional barbecues, but to be living together, unless we're really close friends or already were friends before we got there, that's almost needed. People don't normally converge. You don't see rainbow family gatherings there. I think there are archonic forces, deceptive forces, and obviously I talk a lot about that stuff when I'm out there, as well as the cities. That is a Vision Quest area. That is a place you can get in touch with your own power. And sometimes that's far more important to do something like that, to go out there and get some knowledge and take it back to the city, to build a home, live there for a period of time and leave, than to just go out there and assume you're going to stay out there forever and live in kumbaya with absolute total strangers that also just left the grid, that are also out there to heal. It's like a weird reality TV show that no one's actually filming, because, but it should be filmed. So basically, where do I go from here? Because I did determine that I would be happier moving from location to location, but it does get expensive moving the RV. So I've gone pretty much in a counterclockwise motion around southern Colorado. I was going from Trinidad to the San Luis Valley. I also had to go back to Trinidad, to back to the San Luis Valley, to Alamosa, to Salida for a couple of days. I didn't really bother filming much more than I actually did. It was more time and place for me to just observe and feel the vibes. And my first impressions of Salida are not exactly my last impressions of Salida. They were pretty optimistic, if you will, on a few levels regarding the society of Salida, Colorado. And as I stayed, my observations deepened that this was another materialistic, supposed, enlightened town that was... It's nice that people came there from all over the country, but it seemed to be lacking in some areas. I'm sure if I focused hard enough, I could have tapped into the spiritual essence of Salida a little bit more. Instead, I was a little turned off by... some people don't want to hear this, so I don't talk about it much. When I go into towns and it's all white and it's all just the same bloodline from Europe, I feel awkward and I wonder, do I belong here? Where are the others? Where are the blacks? Where are the Hispanics? Okay, where are the people of color? And they just don't want to be here. Or they aren't welcome here because the way that they're treated. And I couldn't help but wonder, what is the case there? What is really going on there? And I understand that some people just want to live amongst people that look like them because biologically it feels safe. I do believe that people are acting on biological cues that they don't understand, which doesn't necessarily make people racist, but it does make people tribalist. And I don't really want to live around tribalistic thinking. In fact, I really just want to be alone. But I will travel through these towns in America. I will fill out the vibes and kind of see where people are at. And what I did notice is that women there looked a little happier to be there. But the question is, what is really drawing that happiness? Is it coming from something spiritual, or is it coming from something material or something of the matrix? And that's something to ask ourselves. So I continued on from Salida to Gunnison. And I should do more videos like, tips on boondocking and tips on finding places to park. But that's still something that I'm learning. So I'm only going to comment on things that I feel confident talking about, because I'm still learning about how to find good boondocking or parking. And I'm doing all this without my own Wi-Fi. And I post to a website, News, which is unique for an RVer. It's also unique for an alternative media person to be living in an RV. And every day I post 10 articles a day. It takes me about 2 to 3 hours to do for a particular individual that runs that website, Mr. Green, who owns AMTV Media, and that allows me a little bit of cash every month, along with help from someone else on a monthly basis, that allows me to continue this freedom-based lifestyle. And it feels good to be able to work for a chunk of that. But it also keeps me tied to certain cities. That's why I don't go so fully off the grid, is because I got to post for a couple hours a day for my part-time job. That takes 2 to 3 hours a day, 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, not Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday. It's a little bit of stress that has entered my life, but I'll tell you what, I believe that things happen for a reason, and sometimes angels work through people. And I feel like my brain needed to be tasked with working several hours a day on a website using WordPress, putting in SEO tags, and being Alex Ansari's top 10 headlines, and watching his audience, and I even know that I'm the guy posting that, which ones they like the most. Seeing some articles reach 10,000 people, 5,000 people, more people that I personally reach with my own aim. So to work behind the scenes for another guy's website, check out amtvmedia.com, just the news. Videos are his. My views are not Chris Green's views. Chris Green's views are not my views. That's what makes Chris Green cool. Chris Green, just between me and you and whoever's watched this YouTube channel, is a professional. He doesn't talk to me about shit, doesn't want to hear about my problems. I don't want to hear about his problems. He pays me a certain amount. I post to his website. News that's real, not fake news. Real geopolitical stuff. What's going on with China, Russia? What's going on with the stock market? What's going on with this recent spill in Colorado, which I really haven't addressed yet, but I should do that in another video. I'm able to harness the power of my mind to pull those headlines that I feel are important, that people will read, that people will share, but most of all, headlines that I feel are important, not just something that's fluff. Also, I understand some of the interest in subject matter that the demographic has with the website, and that's the case where I put aside my own bias and take a look at a few articles they might like, his readership in particular. So that was an exercise for my brain that started for me randomly out of the blue. I was offered this gig. It didn't come. It wasn't something that I sought out. It happened very accidentally, and it started in Portland, Oregon, a couple months before I moved out. And what it did is it gave me something to focus on, other than my own not so positive situation. I don't know whether it was the working of my brain, because I will talk a lot in Portland, is what the homeless people need is they need to build something. They need like a building center. And I wasn't seeing it done, but in my own life, I was trying to build my own way out of the ditch, or work my own way out of the situation I was in, through working out at the gym, through trying to eat healthy in what ways that I could, by doing YouTube videos and talking about my situation, by continuing an Access TV show and talking about things happening in the city, and also leaving time to talk about big stories. I was doing all this in Portland while without a home. Well, meanwhile, people were trashing me, and every time I would put out videos showing, my emotions, what this experience was doing for me, that's when the trolls would come out, or people that would want to talk shit, and they still are there, several of them, watching every one of these videos, waiting to see something really bad happen to me, or see something really bad happen on this channel. That's what they're there for. That's what they're hoping to see. So there's also a lot of really insane people that watch this channel as well as some of you. What I'm trying to say is, working that gig and taking care of myself and taking care of my brain, my mind, body, and spirit, even though my brain and my mind, body, and spirit felt adversely affected just by being in Portland itself. Because of the electromagnetic pollution, because of the smart meters, and because of the mentality of the people there, it kind of made me sick. I had this massive will and belief that in a short period of time, I would be leaving Portland and coming back to Colorado. And a certain series of events took place. I hope you love the hair today. A certain series of events took place that led to me getting the RV. And that led to me giving away the teardrop camper and truck without even the paperwork. He could have gone and robbed a bank and they'd be looking for me. I'm not kidding. I did it with full and complete trust in the universe, the omniverse, the true creator of all that is. Full, total faith that everything would be okay. And it has been. I have now been in Colorado for several months, at least since a part of April or May, probably May, and it's now several months later in August. I had to deal with some unfortunate expenses living in Trinidad that I wasn't expecting, and now I am pretty much positioned to go anywhere in America, being in Montrose, Colorado. I-70 is just north of me. I-70 connects to a freeway that would get me out of Colorado and into Kansas, and to the left it would take me to Utah. Also, the sun just went into some clouds. That's why it got dark all of a sudden, as the sun is now rising. I can also go south and find maybe a small border town in Arizona, not so much near Tijuana or Mexico, but closer to Colorado. I appreciate Larry offering me to come down and visit. I don't know how I feel about going to a border town during this particular time in America's history. I don't think anywhere near Mexico would be good for this phase. I think it's best for my own strategic survival that I remain in the northern states in the middle of America, which is why I rule out West Coast, which is why I rule out East Coast. Ultimately, I've ruled out these places for several years, even though I returned to Portland. So I would consider rural parts of Colorado. I would consider rural parts of Kansas, but I would really have to know the people involved a little bit better before going anywhere. So things aren't really going to get really cold for a few months, and in Montrose, the weather is more like Oregon in the Pacific Northwest than Colorado, which means it's probably a lot easier to survive a winter here in an RV. But what I'm hoping for is, if there are cheap places to rent, and there are some, even though my credit's shot, I'm hoping to find something to rent cheap, under $500 a month. That's something that's within the budget. That's something that I'm willing to let go of. If it's worth it, there are places in America where you can get something for that. In Trinidad, the rent at the apartment that I was sharing with someone was a lot cheaper. We're to say Portland, Oregon, 1990s rates. No joke. So I want to find something like that that's not so in demand. Getting back to Salida, it was in demand. Getting back to Gunnison, Gunnison's not a bad place, but there's limited Wi-Fi hotspots and limited decent camping in town. And I have not explored all of Gunnison's camping locations But ultimately, I felt drawn to come up to Montrose, which I'm sure I'm saying wrong. Maybe not. And so from here, I need to stay here and do a little more thinking as to where I go because of the gas involved in getting there. Do I go north to I-70, the freeway? It'll take me east to west so I can get really quickly in and out of the state. Like that's a major highway, freeway. Where do I go south? And do I investigate the EPA spill? Do I go look at the toxic sludge in the Little Colorado River? That's horrible, man. But I was going to probably end up there. That's what I was thinking. I was going to do this massive, because if you look at where I'm going, I'm doing like a huge counterclockwise circle around some of the most beautiful rural areas in all of Colorado. Completely excluding Denver and the Springs, completely excluding the Front Range. We're talking about the bubble of green to the left of that, over there. Over there now, over there. The place you never thought of to look, over there. That big old block of green, right there. That's me, right there, And if you look at Montrose now on Google Satellite, you'll get it. You'll be down. You won't be just, where's Alex? You'll be like, oh, he's there. Okay. So I'm open to suggestions, but realize suggestions of West Coast and East Coast are absolutely insane to me. And, you know, I'm torn after recent events. Should I be continuing to go it alone, or is there a community for me? And I'll just be frank, is there anyone special for me in my life waiting for me? And I just don't know. I know that I've been open, and I know that I'm trying to be positive and allow positive things to take place. And I break old soul agreements to be a slave and to live in misery. So I'm open to positive things happening to me, which is why I'm traveling, so I can see different cultures. I don't talk to women I don't know in different cities, but I fill out the vibes. And I do know that whether I go somewhere and rule this, that, I may not know the women, but I believe that it's easier to connect with women once you get to know them and once they get to know you. Once you cross that point, it's easier to connect with them here than in dense population centers like Portland due to social brainwashing, programming, due to environmental influences. Once you actually know someone and you're talking to someone, the women in places other than the major cities seem a little bit more receptive to male attention. Almost as if they want it. Doesn't mean that I'm delivering it, but I've gotten the vibes more than once visiting these visitor centers. That the women there really enjoyed giving me brochures and telling me where to camp and giving me tips on hiking. And I will say that that is not the energy that I come across in places like Portland, where they just, their eyes bug out and they do this whole, don't even think about trying to fuck me thing. You know, it's like this weird, lustful little land where there's just way too much fear. Portland's not a place I recommend women go if they're actually interested in expanding their spirituality. I would recommend people move out and address why they think that's a great place for them. I would address the programming. I would address the programming. I would address the programming that Portland's a healthy place, because that's exactly what I think is taking place. And if you got aspects of you programmed to be in a place where your energy is being harvested, that means your energy is being harvested. And that's not a good situation. And I've come to that conclusion, as far out and supernatural as it is, but I'm sticking to it. The more I explore other places in America, the more those very conclusions that I've come to are confirmed for me. I've said enough. At 24 minutes in, I'm going to head back into town and do a couple hours of work for the website. If you have suggestions on places to go, north of Montrose, south of Montrose, east or west, I would also leave my email so you can contact me, not in the comment section, but privately. So, you know, you have privacy. My email is down below. Just look down below. It's right there. And I would like people to contact me through more secure lines of communication than just using the YouTube comment section. And never, ever, ever, ever give anybody your address on YouTube. Even if you want a community, don't ever give directions on YouTube in the comment section. I'm going to be back with more videos. There's a lot of stuff I need to talk about. Alex Ansari, sign off for August 12th, 2015.